Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, which is dedicated to making GCSE Biology exam preparation simple and stress-free. Here, we focus on tips and tricks to help you maximize your marks and understand exactly what examiners are looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Sharoon Daniel, and if you find these videos helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more exam-focused lessons and revision resources. So, let's get started. In this video, we'll be working through GCSE Biology past paper questions, using exam-based answering criteria. I'll take one question at a time, break it down clearly, and show you how to structure your answers to gain maximum marks in the exam. Let's begin with the first slide and the first question. Question 1. This is a real GCSE Biology exam-style question, but many students lose marks even when they know the topic. Therefore, let's break it down using exam criteria. Question 0.1 states that Salmonella causes illness if present in food. Now 0.1 to 1 part of question gives us more detail about the question itself, such as symptoms like diarrhea and vomiting, as we know already. Salmonella causes vomiting and diarrhea, but the bacteria themselves don't directly cause the symptoms. Therefore, the correct answer is that they release toxins that damage cells in the gut. Now let's move towards 0.1 to 2 part of this question, where examiner asked about 2 ways to prevent the spread of the infection. When examiner asks how to prevent the spread, but only gives 2 marks, they want simple hygiene actions, not long explanations. Therefore, answers like washing hands and not preparing food score instantly. Moving on to 0.1 to 3 part of the question. In severe infections, doctors can treat Salmonella, but only with drugs that kill bacteria. Therefore, the only correct answer here is antibiotics. Now next 0.1 to 4 part of question, where examiners then links infection to immunity, but students often forget to connect cause and effect. Therefore, the key point is that AIDS weakens the immune system by reducing white blood cells, so recovery takes longer. This question isn't testing memory alone, but how well you apply biological knowledge to health. Therefore, using key terms like toxins, antibiotics, and immune system is how you secure full marks. Next I will show you next part of the same questions, which is part 1.5. Here question asks to suggest one other way farmers could prevent the transmission of Salmonella from chickens to humans. Question gives you 1 mark, hence the reason. Any one answer would be acceptable. First, improve hygiene in chicken farms. Second, regularly clean and disinfect equipment. Third, keep chickens in clean conditions. Fourth, prevent contamination of meat during slaughter. And fifth, educate workers about hand washing. Moving then on to the question part number 1.6, which asks you to answer which cleaning liquid is more effective. Give a reason. And the correct answer to this question is cleaning liquid B. Why is this answer? The reason must link to data. It produced a larger area where no bacteria were growing. 13 cm raised to the power of 2, compared to cleaning liquid A, 11 cm raised to the power of 2. Next part of the same question, which is 1.7, asked to do scientific measurements by measuring bacterial growth. Here, scientists tested 2 cleaning liquids, A and B, on Salmonella bacteria grown on agar in a Petri dish. After 48 hours, they looked at the clear areas around the paper discs, where no bacteria had grown. These clear areas are called zones of inhibition. Here the examiner asks you, what measurement is needed to calculate the area? Correct answer to this question could be obtained by measure the diameter or radius of the clear zone. Why is this so? Because the area is circular. We can use the formula area is equal to pi r square. Now let's move on to next part, which is 1.8 of the same past paper question, which asks you to give 1 change to check if results are repeatable. And most suitable answer to this question would be repeat the investigation several times, or repeat the experiment and compare results. Now last part of this question, which is part 1.9, requires you to suggest 1 other factor the restaurant owner should consider. Amongst these answers I am going to suggest you any one of these would score the mark. How effective the cleaning liquid is, safety for staff, damage to surfaces, environmental impact, time taken to clean. By going through past papers, always look and spot the difference between scientific language examiner use. Now here I'll show you how to spot the command words, how to use the figures correctly, and how to write answers that match the GCSE mark scheme. If you want full marks, stay with me until the end. Let's move on to another past paper question regarding the same topic of cell biology. Here you can see examiner asks you to match the organelles or subcellular structure to their respective functions, giving easily 3 marks if you could link structure with functions. If take a look at the question itself, examiner asks you to match the functions in this part 1.4. If you read first option, which is cell membrane, you must immediately know that cell membrane controls transport of substances into the cell. Mitochondria, where energy is released. Ribosomes, where proteins are made. Functions like photosynthesis, glucose made, are distractors. Those are chloroplasts. Now we are moving on to another question, where part 1.1 requires you to answer question, which is what is the function of the nucleus? And the answer to this question is nucleus controls the activities of the cell. You could also say contains the genetic material. Both get the mark. After that, next part of the question, which is 1.2, requires the answer to question name 1 type of cell that does not contain a nucleus. Answer of this simple question is red blood cell. Also acceptable, bacterial cell. In another exam past paper question, as you could see, the question 3.1 requires you to answer to questions such as give 2 similarities between the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cells in figure 5. This is a give question, so examiners expect short, Clear biological facts, no explanations needed. According to Mark's scheme, correct answers to this questions are cell membrane, cytoplasm. Both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells contain cytoplasm and are surrounded by a cell membrane. These are universal features of living cells. Here let me give you an exam tip that do not say they both have DNA unless the diagram clearly shows it. GCSE examination system awards marks only for visible or standard features. Moving on to next part of the question, which is 3.2, which asks you to give 3 differences between the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cells in figure 5. Here, examiner wants clear contrasts, 1 difference per line. Differences: 1. Prokaryotic cells do not have a nucleus. Eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. 2. Prokaryotic cells do not contain membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotic cells do. 3. Prokaryotic cells are much smaller than eukaryotic cells. Each point clearly compares bacteria with plant and animal cells. Again, I will give you an exam tip. Avoid vague phrases like more complex, as examiners prefer specific structural differences. Let's have a look at another part question, which is 3.3. This is an calculation question which asks and expect you to understand how to carry out calculations. Now the question asks you to calculate the ratio of the size of the bacterial cell to the size of the mesophyll cell. This is a classic maths and biology question, and marks are often lost through unit errors. Hence, first thing first, read and convert the units of measurement to same units. For example, bacterial cells are in micrometer but mesophyll cells are in millimeter, hence unit conversion is first step. Examiner expects both values in the same unit, hence mesophyll cells would be 50 micrometer in size, a clear ration of 1, which is bacterial cells, to 50, which is mesophyll cell. Step 3. Write the ratio. 1 meter, 50 meters. So the final answer would be ratio equals 1:50. The exam tip here is always simplify the ratios. After this, let's move on to next question with part 3.4, which asks you to answer the question about cell division type in cells. Question, as you could see on slide, that name the type of cell division that produces genetically identical body cells for growth and repair. The correct answer to this question is mitosis. Mitosis produces genetically identical daughter cells and is used for growth and tissue repair. I will give you an exam tip. If the question says growth and repair, the answer is always mitosis, not meiosis. Now let's answer questions from another past paper and start with first question and its first part, which is 1.3, which asks you to draw a simple diagram of the cell in figure 1. Label 2 parts of the cell. This is a standard biological drawing question. Hence the marking requirements would be as follows: a clear, simple outline, no shading, straight label lines, correct spelling, and acceptable labels for the diagram would be nucleus, cell membrane, cytoplasm, cell wall. If a plant cell, here the exam tip is 1 mark is for the diagram, 1 mark for correct labels. Now moving on to next part of the question, which is 1.4, and it goes like this: name 1 structure found in a plant cell but not found in an animal cell. Correct answer to this question are cell wall, chloroplast, large permanent vacuole. You could choose any one from these answers. These structures are unique to plant cells and are commonly tested by examiners. After going through these past papers examinations questions, I am sure you would have an idea now what to expect during your examinations. Thank you very much for listening. Stay tuned with my channel for more video lessons and updates. Thank you very much.